GBETV. Yes, sir!
Welcome to the Sharmin Prince Show on GBETV, where we know that progress is a must. And I'm your host, Sharmin Prince. Thank you for joining. Thank you for your continued support and commitment to the show. Thanks to those of you that sent in your name and your number to be part of the raffle. Thanks to those of you that sent me messages. Thanks to those of you that sent emails sharing ideas for topics, sharing personal stories. And those of you that sent me those stories, you can just you're guaranteed confidentiality. You don't have to worry about that. So I want to say thank you. Today's show, I have like 3 different things I'm going to talk about. We're going to talk about sexual abuse. We're going to talk about poverty. And of course, we're going to touch a little, I didn't want to, but a little on the newsworthy story that is that hit the headlines and all over social media, and everyone in Guyana and the diaspora are talking about it. So of course we'll touch on it a little because it's the month of February and it's matrimony. I'm just going to talk a little about matrimony and what it is, what it means. I am not going to get into the history of it, but we'll just touch on it because it is celebrated this month. And it's amazing that matrimony is celebrated in Guyana in February, and in the US, February is Black History Month. And I was reading something the other day, and there is the shoes that we wear, like the sole of the shoes was created by a African American, or they said he was born in Dutch Guyana, so in Suriname. I never knew that. So there is so much for us to learn, and maybe one day we'll hear that somebody that was born in British Guyana invented something. We have seen in the news there has been, and you may be asking, well, you know, Sharmin, you've addressed sexual abuse I think once or twice since you're on the show, and that's true. And why are you addressing it again? It's because because of the prevalence that we're seeing it in the news. And someone was asking me if I think that it's being reported more, or the occurrences has increased, or is it because of social media? And I think it's, for me, I think it's being, I don't think, there might have been an increase. There is no way for us to know because we don't have the statistics. But I think because of social media, it's being highlighted. And we think that it's more prevalent. But I think that more people are educated and are not accepting that it should be covered up. We saw someone in the news that got, I think, 45 years. Then we saw the man that raped the 3-year-old that went into, that passed through the court, and in the court lockup, the prisoners took care of him. And when I saw that, I looked at that and I said, even people that we may label as criminals, or deviants saw the need to stand up and say this is wrong. And if the people that we deem criminals or deviants and we cast them out have such high morals and would not accept a child, a perpetrator that abused a child, it says a whole lot. And I want that to be an example to those of you that live in villages, those of you that live in communities, those that live in the society and is aware that there is some form of abuse going on and you're silent. If you're silent and you're not doing anything about it, take a page out of the Prisoner's book. You don't have to become physical or violent, but you can speak up. You can speak up for that child. You can speak up for, it might be your child that has been saying something to you. Let's become the village once again that raises the children. And it has to begin with one person. One person commit and say that I will not be silent. Because if I remain silent, I am saying it's okay. And it's not okay. It's not okay for our children. I want to compliment the parents that are reporting child sexual abuse and the guardians, and kudos to those parents who listen to their children and believe them and did something about it. I want to compliment you. In the past, when I did sexual abuse, I took it from a survivor perspective because I'm a survivor. However, I did not consider that child, that young man, that young woman that might be watching this show, that is experiencing that right now and don't know what to do. You're saying, I have no idea what to do. I don't know who to tell because you're being threatened. So we're going to get more into that and talk about that. And talk about if you are experiencing sexual abuse right now, what should you do? And how should you handle it? And who should you tell? And you need to know that it's not your fault. You're not responsible for what is happening. You're not. You're just a child. You're just an adolescent. You might not have attained the age of consent. So you're not responsible. And I want to say that to you, and I'm going to speak to you and encourage you and empower you on what to do and how to do it. Let's go to the greetings, and when we come back, we will continue.
Hi, this is Freedom Boss. You're tuned into the Sharmin Prince Show. Thanks for watching. Shout out to you.
Welcome back to the Sharmin Prince Show, and I'm your host, Sharmin Prince. Before we went to the commercials, I was actually talking about a child, a teenager, or an adolescent that is actually experiencing child sexual abuse. And because in the past we spoke from or addressed it from a survivor standpoint, someone who's been through it, survived it, and is a survivor, they're no longer a victim. But I did not speak to the child, that young woman, that young man that is currently being abused by someone, a neighbor, a stepfather, a father, a uncle, a close friend of the relative of the family, or an authority figure. An authority figure can be a teacher, a pastor, a imam, a pandit, a coach, someone in whatever social organization you might be a part of. And what is sexual abuse? Sexual abuse is coercion or forcing a child sexual abuse, a child that is under the age of consent. And in Guyana, the age of consent is 16 years old. So anyone that is forced to perform or engage in any sexual activity, that behavior or action is child sexual abuse. And when I say act, it might not include penetration. It might include inappropriate touching. Like, you may have a 2 or 3 year old, and it's customary that when uncle whomever comes over, boy or girl, they put that child on their lap, and you think it's okay and it's normal, and there could be things that are happening. You don't want your daughter or your son, even if it's an uncle, you don't want your daughter or your son sitting on anyone's lap, you know, because they have this thing that they call bouncing, that occurs, especially in children, that can be lift up and placed on the lap. Also, inappropriate touching can occur that way. So you want to ensure that whoever's coming to the house, that you're vigilant and you're looking after your children, because it's your responsibility. And even if it happened to you and you didn't tell anyone, and you think that you are okay, you know, from previous shows, you know that I always say you're not. I don't care how successful you are, career-wise, successful academically, but you don't want it to happen to your child. You don't want your child to experience that. So it is your responsibility to be vigilant. Did you know that 50% of the Guyana population, listen to this, 50% are children? So we have half of a population that is exposed to predators, to perpetrators, to pedophiles who target children because of the economic statuses in the home. And we'll talk about poverty, because poverty can be one of the factors that causes predators to target a certain group of children. And those are things that we have to look at. And your 13-year-old daughter may come in. There might be some older man that can provide for you as a parent and your 13 or 14-year-old daughter, and you accept it because of provision. But think about what you're doing to your child. Very important. And I say that because I know when you're 13 and 14, approaching 15, there are all these older men that are attracted to little girls, and it's just because of what they can give to them. These girls get into relationships that damages their entire lives. So you want to look out for your children. It is your responsibility. You are the parent. You have to ensure that your children are taken care of. I know that you might say, hey, he puts food on the table. He takes care of her. What is taking care? How can a man that is double my age, I'm 15, and this man is 35, but because he can provide lunch money for me, and I can get a new sneakers and a new bag, and I have money that I can purchase stuff for the home, mommy's accepting that, and mommy's not telling me you're 15, you're below the age of consent. This man is twice your age, but mom is not telling me it's wrong. It's okay. It is something that we need to address. And I know I focus a lot on women, and right now we should be also focusing on our sons, right? Because our sons are being targeted. If it was not for all the stuff in the news, I would have been talking today about the disparity of raising boys and girls, because there is this huge disparity, and we're seeing the effects of it in the news. And I think I'll touch on that a little later, because it's so important, because we're not teaching our sons how to problem solve, how to cope with stress, and how to manage everyday stress, especially in interpersonal relationships. And because I'm talking about teenage or adolescent girls, there was this, I think she's 15 years old, that her and her ex-boyfriend in charity burned them, her and her current boyfriend. And when I read that story and all the other issues that you're seeing in the news, it is because of a lack of coping skills. Our children are not being given the tools to manage the stressors, especially major stressors in life. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue.
Next Gen Car Rentals. For reliable, clean, fuel-efficient and well-maintained cars, choose Next Gen Car Rentals. Telephone 231-8963 or like us on Facebook. Next Gen Car Rentals, taking you to the next level.
And teach them to trust you. And I know you may be saying, okay, Sharmin, hold up. I must teach my child to trust me? Yeah. Your child trusted you as an infant and as a toddler. And as a parent, if your child doesn't trust you during their preteen years, there has been a breakdown of that trust. And what happened? How did it occur? Because it's only if your child trusts you, your child is going to come and say, Mommy, Daddy's touching me inappropriately, or Uncle touched me inappropriately. In addition to the trust, You have to ensure that you're having discussions with your children on what is an inappropriate touch. What parts of the body no one should touch. And that should be even from an early age. When your child begins to walk, because their brain is maturing and they understand a lot of things. So you want to teach your child their body parts, and don't tell them call their vaginas other names, and their penises other names. But you have to tell them, especially the girls, even though their breasts aren't mature, your chest, no one should touch that. Your vagina, no one should touch that. Your penis, no one should touch that. Your butt, no one should touch that. Your mouth, no one should touch that. That is your responsibility as a child, as a parent. Now, if you're watching me, before I continue, let me finish. You may ask, how can I teach my child to trust me? I'm happy that you asked. Trust is not something that happens overnight. Trust is built and earned. So not because you're my mother or father, I must trust you. Because you may be doing things that is causing me to mistrust you as a child. But you have to have conversations with your child. You have to have, there should be dialogues, if not daily, weekly. When your child come home, do you spend time with your child, or you're too tired? Find some time where you sit and talk to your children and talk about life. You know what's the sad part that causes trust or causes mistrust? Some children know nothing about their parents, because the parent that is present in the house or in the home is so busy providing that their lives are not shared. Legacies are not handed down. Things that mom learned from her mother and her grandmother may not be passed on to the child because we're too busy making ends meet. All those things causes trust. When you're cooking in the kitchen, are your kids with you? And it is a family activity. While someone is cutting the onions, someone is cutting the tomatoes, and you're having a conversation, you're building trust. Because if trust is not there, your child will not open up to you. Because I'm telling you a secret that someone, that a perpetrator told me that you would not believe, or no one would believe. And if I do tell you, there are consequences. So I have to trust you to get past my fear of all that the perpetrator said. And also, because the perpetrator told me that, I am riddled with shame and guilt. So in order for me to get past those barriers, I need to trust my parent. I need to trust an adult. And that trust has to be built. Teach your children body parts. Important from a very early age. Because in the beginning I said there was someone went to court for raping a 3-year-old. So you have to teach your child even before that. Right? I can give you an example. There's someone that I mentor, and she has a 3-year-old. I think she's going to be 3 this year. But she's been teaching her daughter the body parts. And when her father gives her a bath, she don't want him to touch her. No, daddy, you can't watch that. And that's very good, right? Despite it's her father. No, she told him no. Mommy said nobody must touch that, so no, daddy, you can't watch that. And that's the kind of children we want to raise, because if a perpetrator approaches her, she knows that if her father can't touch her there, no one else should. So it is your responsibility, parents. Let's take a break, and when we come back, I'll talk to you if you're a child or an adolescent that is being abused.
GBETV. Yes, sir!
Next Gen Car Rentals. For reliable, clean, fuel-efficient and well-maintained cars, choose Next Gen Car Rentals. Telephone 231-8963 or like us on Facebook. Next Gen Car Rentals, taking you to the next level.
Welcome back to the Sharmin Prince Show. And I'm your host, Sharmin Prince. Now, if you are anyone under the age of 18 and you're being abused currently, please find someone that you trust and tell them. I know that the perpetrator told you, maybe threatened you, and you're afraid. I want to encourage you not to be afraid. If someone is touching you inappropriately, you need to tell someone, because you might be being groomed by someone. And when I say being groomed, every time someone comes over to the house, he or she brings a gift for the child. And you may have children, but they have singled out a child. Grooming. You'll notice the attention that the adult pays to that child. Grooming. And there's always an element of grooming. Because remember, CSA, which is child sexual abuse, is always done by someone that that child trusts. So if you are being abused or you're being touched inappropriately, I want to encourage you to tell someone, find someone, tell me. Because keeping that secret affects you. It damages you. It damages you emotionally. It damages you spiritually. I'm not even going to touch the spiritual aspect of it, but it damages your interpersonal relationships, because you do not trust people. And think of yourself as you might be 13 years old, but you're carrying a gas bottle on your back. You know those gas bottles? I'm sure they still have them in Guyana. And you're carrying that gas bottle on your back as the secret, because you're carrying that. Think about it. What is it doing to you physically because of that secret? Psychologically, you have noticed that your child that was outgoing is no longer outgoing. You as a child, after the abuse, you have isolated yourself. You've become a loner because you don't want anyone to know. Or you have become extremely extroverted, sexually explicit, and you're doing things, acting out so that someone is going to read your behavior. I just want you to say, a lot of times people don't read behaviors, but they hear words. They're going to see your actions and they will not link it to the activities that has caused or is causing your action. You have to verbalize it. Physically, you know, a lot of people that are victims of child sexual abuse have, they call it, some people have it, they call it body dysmorphia, where they don't like their bodies because it has been violated. You might be that child who started overeating so that you can become fat, that no one will be attracted to you. Or you're not eating, so you're looking as though you have anorexia because you don't want anyone to look at your body. Or the way you dress unattractively so no one can notice you. You might be in school, your grades has been affected, and that's an easy opportunity for you to tell someone you trust. Your teacher may ask you, so what's going on? Why are your grades being affected? That's your opportunity to tell your teacher. Your parents or your mother or aunt, whomever you live with, they might not be using the right method to tell you that your grades have declined, but they're saying it in whatever way they know how. Take that opportunity and share with them. Emotionally, you're feeling shameful. You're feeling guilty. It has affected your self-image, your self-confidence, and your self-esteem. Now, I've listed all those things and I've give you a picture. Now, all those things are included in the gas bottle. It's the gas in the gas bottle that you're carrying. I come today to tell you that you're not responsible. It is not your fault. Tell someone. Tell your teacher, tell your mother, tell your aunt, tell your uncle, tell me, tell the pastor, tell someone. Be sure to tell someone. And you can tell the perpetrator, I am going to tell. Tell your perpetrator, which is an abuser, that is taking advantage of you, despite what they're giving you. Tell them that you will tell. If your perpetrator, be it male or female, and you're watching me right now, I want to say to you that you need help. Because your obsession, attraction of a child, anyone under the age of 18, is abnormal. You're sick. You need help. If you break your leg, you're going to go to Georgetown Hospital, Pushad, Mercy, wherever. And you're going to seek help, the doctor's help, to fix your leg. You have a broken mind. There is something in your brain that is not connecting, so you need help. Seek help. Seek help before it's too late. Because some child is going to tell, and you may be the other person that gets 70 years or 45 years. So, I am beginning to trust our judicial system with sexual abuse. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue.
Next Gen Car Rentals. For reliable, clean, fuel-efficient and well-maintained cars, choose Next Gen Car Rentals. Telephone 231-8963 or like us on Facebook. Next Gen Car Rentals, taking you to the next level.
GBETV. Yes, sir!
Welcome back to the Sharmin Prince Show, and I'm your host, Sharmin Prince. We talk about sexual abuse, and I spoke to, if there are victims, the victim themselves. I even addressed the perpetrator, but I want to talk about poverty, because according to the Borgen Project, and that was done in 2016, they listed a few things that I would like to share with you. And this is leading up to, this whole, I don't even know what to call it, that is in the news with the young boys in our society that are being targeted because of poverty. And in Guyana, children and the indigenous people have the highest rates of poverty among them. They said it's due to limited resources, as a country, our history because of slavery and indentureship that has affected the economic, the social, and the political systems within the country, has really affected how we live and what we do. And this Bergen, it's a beautiful study that was done. I did not know until I read that article that 50% of the Guyanese citizens live abroad. Do you hear that? 50% of Guyanese citizens live abroad. And they said that those that moved out that left the country, left with are, those that got skills and those that are educated, a lot of them. And some of them wait until they receive an education from University Guyana, and then they left. I mean, I didn't wait until I got my education from University Guyana. It just happened that around that time, that's when I migrated. This Bergen Project says that due to the weak infrastructure and the limited resources in the country, it has affected the education and the healthcare systems. Now, we are, whenever you speak to someone that is into history and geography, they always comment that Guyana is filled with natural resources. Rice, sugar, bauxite, our agriculture, and gold, and some diamonds and whatever. We have a lot. Guyana is so rich. The agricultural land is so fertile, and we have all these natural resources. But then why are we I think the third poorest country in South America? That is so because of our debt. our debt ratio is extremely high. That's why we are poor. And it is affecting our social systems, our political system, and our educational system. Now, Sharmin, why are you talking about poverty? I address poverty because I'm going to share some statistics with you. Um, 36% of people live in poverty. 18% live in extreme poverty. As I said earlier, the children and the indigenous people are more likely to experience poverty. 47.5% of children under the age of 16 are living in poverty. Young adults between ages 16 to 25 are the second most affected. And the rate of poverty in Guyana is 33.7%. And I'm sharing that because in this whole scenario that we've seen in the news, and it came out that the young man got an iPhone. Poverty leads young men and women into deviant behaviors such as stealing, prostitution, and anything, any source, any illegal source, a lot of criminality, drug trade, any illegal source to gain a living, to get a plate of food. The girls may knowingly date someone 3 times their ages, all because they want food on the table. At least for me, when I was growing up, my mom taught us how to be contented. Did it work? Sometimes you allow your needs to supersede your morals and your upbringing, how you were socialized, your moral foundation. Don't be a victim to what someone can offer you temporarily. It's a temporary fix. Yes, I'm hungry. I need food to eat right now. But I'm going to do something that can affect me for my entire life, or that can affect my entire family in one way or the other. The young man that, was seen in the picture with Otis, I saw a video of the neighbors saying that every day someone passes in the village and call him names. I hope that there is a support system around that young man, because that label will not leave him. We don't know how he is psychologically. We don't know how strong he is emotionally and how much of this he can handle. Remember earlier I said I wanted to talk about the way we raise our sons and daughters. It's totally different, and that's something that we have to address. If you're watching this show and you know the family of that young man, I want to encourage you to be a support system to him, because we have all